Greetings everyone, I am Reverend Ruth on Starry Bar with Angel Healing Ministries, and I'm out here in Heckscher Park with my friend Michael, and we're going to talk about Samhain, because Samhain's only a couple days away. To most people, Samhain's known as Halloween, but to us, to the Celts and the Druids, it's known as Samhain, and probably a few other things which Michael will cover. But first, our mission statement is this. Our mission is to guide you on your path to find God, and to show you how important truth and faith are on your path to find God, and to show you how important truth and faith are on your path back to God. And today is a beautiful day. Like I said, we're going to talk about Samhain. It's a beautiful fall brisk day, and you can see behind me as we're in Heckscher Park, and there's my friend Michael over there, and look at all the fountains and everything that we are like here. No fishing, people. And this is just beautiful Heckscher Park. And what I know from Samhain, what I know about Samhain, it's basically, the way I look at it, I see it, it's a time for souls. This is when our spirits, our families that have passed on are closer to us than ever. And a lot of people have tendency to go out there and light candles for them, similar to the Day of the Dead, which I'm not 100% sure what day that is, but it's very similar to that. But not necessarily in our traditions. We don't make altars, but there are very few of us that might have altars where our ancestors are on and stuff like that, and we have all this stuff and we light candles. I know personally what I do on Samhain, with my girlfriends, we haven't done it in a while, and I continue to do it solitaire wise, is I light a candle and I help souls cross over to the other side. But in the meantime, that's just my version of it. But I'm going to give you over to Michael, who's a druid over here, and he lives in Babylon area, I think it is. And he's going to talk about Samhain and a couple other things and what it means to him and what it stands for, and go for it. And Michael, here you go.
Okay, well, this is the Celtic New Year, and when they did their calendars, that's the way they started their New Year. This is Samhain. Everybody, it looks like Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. And you're more familiar with it with All Hallows Eve, and then All Souls Day the next day, and then you'll see in Mexico Day of the Dead. The commonality with all of it is there seems to be an acknowledgement that the veil's thin between the worlds, whether it's quote-unquote neo-pagan, Wiccan, Druid, or other traditions around this time of year, that as the veil's thin between the worlds, spirits, it's easier to cross over and commune with one another. And you see that in the early pagan traditions and some of the rituals that you might participate in, either live or via Zoom. There's some out there for this weekend, or some of them will go into the first or second week into November, depending on their tradition. But that commonality, you'll see a lot of recognizing that the spirits are there, and Halloween's turned into a costuming, kind of a public acknowledgement of these strange visions and these dark nights of things going through the air and different things like that. But when the Christians saw this, some of the groups created the All Souls Day, basically. And you'll see some cultures making offerings or leaving a table setting for their departed loved ones in recognition of this time where people believe that the spirits can come back and commune, even in Christian traditions. So don't let anybody really yell at you like you've got some weird tradition because you're neo-pagan, or whatever spirituality you would refer to your practices. So this is a time to listen to the ancestors. And one of the traditions that's near and dear to me with the group I work with, ADF, we'll recognize the ancestors in our rituals on a regular basis, but especially this time, we recognize that passing. We look to hear and listen to what the gods and goddesses, in our case, the ancestors and what we refer to as spirits of the land, what they have to share with us at this time during our rituals. So it's nothing to be scared of. If something is occurring in your life at this time of year and you don't understand it, I would recommend you speak with a trusted friend or practitioner that you're familiar with and talk to them about these things, because everybody likes to think it's imagination. They've watched too many horror movies or something like that because of the time of the year. But don't be surprised if something occurs during this time. And don't let it turn into a horribly negative experience, but one in which you can commune with your family members or loved ones, friends that have departed, and just be thankful for that time you had with them here in this physical plane, and that they're still out there, and they're not malevolent, or they shouldn't be malevolent in dealing with. So we just hope you have a blessed Samhain this weekend, however you choose to celebrate or not to celebrate. Enjoy this changing of the seasons, and as Celtic New Year, we'll say a Happy New Year in that sense for this change of time. And we'll prepare for moving into the winter and the wonders that we see during the time where the earth goes to sleep. It appears to go to sleep for the winter time and rest in preparation for the following year as the wheel continues to turn. So I'll close with that and say blessings to one and all today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I got a question. On
Yes.
the other, if there's a story that I heard, does the god pass on during this time?
Well, that's usually more toward, if you talk about the Oak King and the Holly King, and that usually there's a rebirth during the Yule time, which is pre-Christian in tradition and many traditions. And you'll see the Oak King takes precedence during the summer and wanes, and then the Holly King takes over in the winter. So that's I think that's what you're referring to.
Okay, I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay.
How do you normally celebrate when you do your Samhain, how do you usually celebrate that?
Well, I actually prefer to do it when it's the evening, but a lot of times it's hard to get, permission to do a public ritual after dark in public parks and stuff. So if I had my way, I would have a fire. And sometimes I'll do this by myself or with a few other friends. And I like scrying into the firelight. As far as I'll make what I'll refer to as offerings to the gods and the nature spirits, excuse me, and to the ancestors. And then I'll be out there and I'll have the fire going. Sometimes I may have music, or if we've got a smaller group that's used to it, some light drumming. And it's just a time to be quiet and listen. And people have different ways of doing what they usually call divination. I like to do it usually in the fire, and I'll just watch the flames and coals and do my meditations and get my focus away from the mundane. I mean, you don't want to be thinking about what you're going to do after it's over, but just get your mind cleared through whatever meditation technique works for you. And just look and listen. And if you choose just to look into the sky, if you've got a nice clear night with the stars, if you're far enough away from the city lights, that's another way you can do that. Some people like to look into a water or divining bowl. But I found when in the right frame of using the fire with a nice bed of coals in it, and just watching and listening and opening my mind and spirit up so that I can hear and commune. It is amazing what you can do within yourself, and I don't consider it being creation of your own mind, but you're actually in tune with the world around you and the spiritual world, and you've dropped all the veils and barriers that we do in our mundane day, and just have that quiet time so you can make peace. And if you're meditating about a loved one that's passed, it's happened more than once with people that person's come across and they can feel their presence, and there's a communion between them, maybe not verbally speaking in words, but there's that communion there where they feel like they've become reconnected with their loved one. So that's my personal practice there.
Okay. Thank you very much. What else I was going to think of? Oh, well, there you have. That's what we're about Samhain. And those of you who might have seen over time in the windows, people light candles. And from what I've heard, these candles lit in the windows are lights to tell the loved ones where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring in, and they light the candles to bring the loved ones to the household, is what I heard. And that's something that I've come to know in time about this kind of thing as well. So there are like many traditions out there, and what Michael does is a very unique tradition among the Druids and the Celts, and it's a very, very powerful thing. I've attended a few of these in the past, and they're very powerful. So, my friends, you've heard Michael's side of it, and so just, take that time and go into the silence and just, listen to what your guides are telling you, or listen for your family to come find you. And it's just a time, a quiet time, and I hope you enjoy it. In the meantime, those of you who celebrate Halloween, be safe out there. You kids, don't eat the candy before you get home, and have fun and be safe. Thanks, and have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you real soon. And if you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe. Thank you. Mike, have anything else you want to add?
Nope. Just have a blessed weekend, one and all.
All right. Thank you. That is a wrap.